Welcome, book lovers. Welcome back. My name's Kendra. This is Terry, in case you didn't know. And we are here to do the Finally Fall book tag. And we might be late because it's in the middle of October, but you know what? We're doing it anyway.
Yes.
We're rebels.
I don't know about that.
We have a list of questions that we're going to read off, and then we are going to answer them.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
C.
Yes. So the first one is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. You first.
I thought it was ladies first.
Eh.
All right. Vivid setting for me is Neuromancer by William Gibson. This is widely hailed as the quintessential cyberpunk novel. And its description of the world and the environment and the hugely corporate setting and the cityscape and everything like that is memorable, to say the least. So definitely a book I want to revisit. I haven't read it in some years since we studied it in school. So definitely recommend. If you have any interest in cyberpunk or like tech in general in novels or in fiction, definitely read it. It's good.
Mine, this is going to be a shocker for many of you, is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch.
Lynch.
There you go. I mean, just the book itself is beautiful, I think. I am someone who is not a big world builder reader. I'm not too interested in it. And the fact that the way he writes and describes what's going on, I am immersed the entire time. So I think that's a big, huge win for an author, for me as a reader. So that's why I chose this, because he does do a lot of descriptions and where you are, and it really does feel like, you can like kind of put yourself in that story because you know exactly what everything looks like. That's my not recommendation, I guess, but that's my answer. So there
For
you
number
go.
one, yeah.
For number one, yeah.
I'll read this one. 2, nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Mine is actually a two-parter. So it's Beartown and Us Against You. It's actually a series by Frederick Bachman. See, pretty. Anyway, this one, they're both very beautifully written. I feel like all his books are wonderfully written. So, But these two in particular, this one deals with rape and how a town deals with it. And this one deals with homophobic and how a town deals with it. So, same town.
Or homophobia.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Both of them are very, very good. And they're going to definitely get a reaction out of you one way or the other.
Okay, let's see. My pick. Oh, that's the one I don't have. I loaned it out to someone. But my pick for The Nature is Beautiful but Also Dying, heavy topic, loss or grief, is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. It is pretty much entirely about the loss of nature and, well, humanity for one.
Yeah.
Pretty dark material. It's one of my favorite books ever.
Fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new.
I guess I'll go first. My nonfiction book is The Lies My Teacher Told Me by James Loewen, I think. This is a great book. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things that is taught in school, particularly secondary school or high school. And as far as things like slavery, Lincoln, like Columbus, all kinds of things that covers in American history. But it's pretty shocking in some respects of the amount of inaccurate information out there and how the textbook publishing industry works. And they basically just write their own history and then sell it to the school districts or the states as approved by the Department of Education of whatever state you're dealing with. Pretty interesting and insight on that aspect. That's something I hadn't considered as being a teacher. But a lot of interesting information. I did a whole lot of highlighting in this book, and it took me a while to read it, but that's because I took it seriously. But it's a very good book. Definitely would recommend it if you have any interest in history or American history in general. But that's my pick. What about yours?
Okay. So mine, I don't do very much at all of nonfiction books. Like, it's
Very little.
very, very little. But anyway, so I went ahead and went with a biography of Jessica Simpson. She wrote this book called Open Book. And the reason I chose this is because I actually am a fan of Jessica Simpson. I like her a lot, even when her little ditzy moments come in. But
The show is entertaining.
Yeah, well, when you read this book, you find out there's a lot of dark to that show. So yeah, that's what I learned. There's a lot of dark things that happened to her, and where she is now is pretty amazing. So I didn't know of all the stuff that she went through. I didn't realize how much she had to deal with. I knew there was a little bit of not so good stuff happening to her, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I read this book. So I recommend that if you like her, that you learn more about her.
In order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family / household / friend group that you'd like to be a part of. Oh, for me, I'll go first. For me, I have an old version of this book, but it's Dune. There's nothing on it. It's just an old hardback.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about dust covers. It wasn't anything to look at anyway, but Frank Herbert, Dune, one of my favorite books, and it just so happens to be coming out in movie form very shortly, which I'm seeing Saturday with some friends. But I would love to be a part of House Atreides before everything goes down. You know, it would be cool to know Paul and Duke Leto and the rest of the family.
Mine is obviously going to be Harry Potter.
Obviously.
Obviously. I would be enjoy any of the families in that whole situation. Any of it, obviously, other than Voldemort and, you know.
He's not part of the family, though.
No. But I would love to do the Weasleys. I would like just to be friends with Harry and Hermione and Ron. Ginny more so than Ron. But I really enjoy the family dynamic and the fact that they're all like, we're all here together for one, yay! That whole, and the loving and all that. So that would be my choice in what world I would like to live in with the people I would like to live with.
Do you want to read the next one, or you want
Sure.
me to?
Number 5, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines.
Well, I was lazy and I didn't get a pile because I don't want to go through all
you
my
can
books and then have to put them
You
back.
can just join in my pile.
So I picked. Well, you got to show the turn around. Oh, flip them.
Flip them. Okay, I'll flip them.
There you go. So I picked the bottom one, Blood Meridian, and she added the rest. So
Yeah.
Chalk
They're
Man
just-
and some other ones.
The
Siddhartha.
Chalk Man, Sirius Moonlight, Sidora. There's the colors.
Blood Meridian.
They're very pretty fall-looking books.
Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. So I don't really have too many of these. So I picked Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, because in the first chapter it's in first person, so he's recounting his experience in Dresden, and then it goes from there. And he, meeting the Transfalmadorians. Oh man, I haven't read this book in years. But it's a great book. It's a good entry to Kurt Vonnegut, too. He's got a dark sense of humor, and he writes very well. He's very funny. It's a general theme throughout his books is dark comedy, basically. But it's also very serious, because he really did fight in World War II, and he did experience the firebombing of Dresden and stuff. So there is definitely truth to this fiction.
So mine was, I'm in the same boat as him. I don't do a lot of like someone telling a story kind of book. If you have any ideas for us though, please leave in the comments, because neither one of us have very many books that do that. So
Like storyteller books.
Yeah. So comment. Anyway, mine is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I like this book in the aspect of prettiness. I think it's pretty. It's kind of a little twist on fairy tale storytelling. So it's about a guy went to go collect a star. The star ends up being a human. There's also a movie that I actually think did very, very well with the book. So there's that too. There you go.
Okay, what's the next one? Let's see.
7.
The Nights Are Getting Darker. Share a dark and creepy read.
Yeah.
Or a dark, creepy read.
So mine is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. And actually this author, I've read 3 or 4 books of his. I've also read Exorcism of My Best Friend, something around those lines. Something to do with a retail store. Anyway, he is fantastic. I like him. He's one of my favorite horror novelists. This one is about a lady who is part of a book club. She really enjoys it. A neighbor moves in. He's a vampire. It's extremely creepy. There are very, very graphic parts of this book that you wouldn't think, being the title. But don't let the title fool you. Just so
I mean,
you know.
it's talking about vampire slaying, though. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it
but
kinda
the whole
gives you
Southern
an
book
idea where you're
clubs
going
make people
into.
think that it's going to be kind of like lighthearted. But, you know, I mean, you
That's
got
not what I
vampires
get out of it.
that sparkle nowadays. So, you know, you never know.
You like that. I don't want to hear it.
Just saying, you
You
never
like
know what kind of
Twilight.
vampire you're going to get. And this one's dark.
My pick
Ooh,
for
that's a
dark and creepy is The Taking.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the desk cover for this one, but it's The Taking by Dean Koontz. Basically, this unnatural storm moves into this small town. Weird things start happening, and it does get pretty dark. I think it has. I haven't read it in some years, but I think it revolves around a couple and their experiences in the town during the storm, and basically it's like an evil storm and brings people to the town and things happen. And I can't believe I haven't read another book by Dean Koontz because I really enjoyed this
Yeah,
book
he's a big author.
some
too.
years ago. But The Taking by Dean Koontz, very good.
You're
All right.
so good at this.
Oh yeah. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. What's yours?
I almost read that as cold and cold heart. Anyway, mine is, I don't have it because I lent it out to someone and I still haven't gotten it back. Anyway, T.J. Klune, The House in the...
Cerulean?
Yeah, see. I love this book immensely. It's about a guy. He takes care of orphans. This one apparently is the like red button one where it's like, oh, this is the worst of the worst of the worst. That comes to find out that's not the case. And it's very, very loving. It's very, very sweet. It's very, very caring. And if you don't go, oh, a lot in this book, then you have a cold heart.
That's not a sound I want to make reading a book, personally.
You should in your head at some point when you're reading a loving book, you should be like, oh, that's so sweet. In your head. You don't have to say it out loud. I did, but you don't have to. But if you don't towards this book, then you might want to rethink, your soul. I won't let him read it because I don't want him to ruin it for me and tear it apart in any way, which he tends to do sometimes with books.
Anyway, I went with a classic, Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. It's about a boy he's poor. He saves up his money to pay for 2 dogs, Old Dan and Little Ann, and he trains them from puppies to be a hunting team. I think they're beagles, if I remember right, because he hunts like raccoons and stuff with them. It's a very good book. I would definitely say, even if you're an adult, I would read it because it's well written, even though it's short, and even though it's talking about a little boy and his dogs and things. It's a book I've never forgotten, and I first read it in middle school, so I definitely recommend Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls, because I'm a dog lover. So, and last but not least,
No, it's not the last.
oh okay, next
Number
to
9,
last but not
yeah.
least.
Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon.
I'll go first. Mine is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is a classic science fiction novel. It's a quartet, actually, 4 books. Let's see. I think he won the Hugo and the Nebula Awards for this science fiction epic. But it's written like the Canterbury Tales, if anybody knows what that is. So it's basically, I think it's 6 or 8 separate stories that all intersect across time. and the sequels don't follow that format. But this one, that's how this one is written. This is an awesome book. I was blown away the first time I read it. It's just so tightly written, and the stories are very fascinating between the characters and the creature that they have to contend with on Hyperion near the time tombs. It's called the Shrike. It's basically an unknowable being other than having red eyes and sharp-bladed appendages and spikes and everything all over it. It's very cool. If you have any interest in science fiction, Hyperion is, I would highly recommend reading that before anything else.
So mine is Kelly Armstrong Bitten. It's a series. I mean, there's a lot of them. I think there's like 8 or 9 of them. Anyway, this is the first book. It's called Bitten. It's obvious. It's about werewolf's team, like a family almost. She is the only female to turn into one for the first time. It's extremely painful and hard, and a lot of girls don't get through it, fortunately. So, but she's one that does. And the rest of the series, I want to read the whole series again. I've read this book. The reason this looks so new is because the first time I got this book, it fell apart. Like, I've read it so many times. And some of the books up there are like, they're probably going to be replaced as well. Yeah, they're pretty worn out because I've read this multiple times and I want to read it again. I love this series a lot. This actually is one of the books that made me really enjoy reading. Obviously, I'll be returning to it again at some point in time.
Final question. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories.
So mine is, the most generic thing ever, and that's coffee mugs. So I make coffee. I would like to say I do tea at night too, but I really don't. That's just random. But I do a big cup of coffee and a blanket, which I'm not going to bring in this video, but blanket is another accessory of mine. And like, these are ones that were made for me from Game of Thrones. And then, I really like The Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney princess. So, and then, but I usually have really, really big ones, but those have also been used and in the dishwasher. So that's how often they get used. So there's that. That's my answer.
And mine are pretty much the same thing. I don't accessorize per se when I read, but it is getting cooler out, so I do like hot chocolate. So this is usually the big Batman mug I use. I can't remember. We got this at
a game place.
Not Dave and Buster's. What's it called?
Yeah, that's right. Dave and Buster's.
Is it Dave and
Yes.
Buster's? And then of course I've got my fancy whiskey glass from Norland. They're a glass maker. I've got the matte black whiskey tumbler, but this is my favorite glass.
Makes old fashions.
Very cool. Yeah, I like drinking old fashions. So very heavy, solid glass, handmade. So definitely quality made. So yeah, that's all we do. Yeah, I like hot chocolate and occasional glass of whiskey to sip.
Coffee
when I
and a
drink.
blanket.
So
That's about us.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions. But if you liked us and you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe, please like. And like I said, give us comments on, ideas or so forth. That
Anything.
Goes along. Yeah.
Any comments.
Any comments. Anything. We're not desperate. Okay. Bye-bye.